What is going on, everybody? Welcome on into the SGL podcast, episode number it's 40. We're at that point now. Part of my Spanish, part of my Duolingo lessons. But yes, in SGL, in season 10.5, in the cup, so begins the Purge. It is the first week of eliminations happening in season 10.5. And I am one of your hosts, Mr. Debit. If you're watching on YouTube, you see my face twice with a protest banner. And in the booth joining me is fellow admin and Rafa Benitez himself, the only Mazar. How you doing, sir?
So glad to be back here for the 40th episode of the SGL podcast. The vibes are pretty good this week, I'll say, although the heat has been killing me recently, but that's why I got a cold bottle of water next to me to go through the rest of this night. But other than that, I am ready to go, and I'm looking forward to talking about this past week with you.
Excelente. Yes, the heat is turning up. The Northeast is finally experiencing what it means to have a spring for once in their lives. And just as it's heating up over this area, it is heating up in SGL. We got to review what happened this past week in the Cups. And we're going to start with the championship. And you'll get to see why just in a little bit. Why we're starting with, the better league compared to, the quote-unquote premier bracket. But starting with the championship, looking over this past week, DC Defiance, after their reverse sweep effort against Wonderwall Blue, take out Los Verdes, winners of that bye, and sweep them, continuing their winning ways. That's 8 in a row for them. They move on to the upper final up against El Matador Dallas Burn, who took that in a Game 7 against my very own Steel Army, who were unable to come out on top in 7 after riding a win against EC Eternal in Week 1. And that final matchup you see down in lower round 1, EC Eternal going up against FSD Azul from San Diego, our blue team over there. One blue team had to fall, and unfortunately, FSD Azul goes out, kind of with a whimper over here, and EC Eternal get back to form.
Absolutely, and they are rewarded with a matchup against Los Verdes as well. Los Verdes having to go through the second Seattle team in the championship in order to ensure that they continue on and finish at least in the top 4. However, if they do get knocked out of the cup in this week, their season won't be done yet, because they will be playing for 6th place against the loser of Steel Army versus Wonderwall Blue. So for Los Verdes, they still have something to play for. But speaking of something to play for, Debit, it has been more than a season now since Los Verdes has had a single game win. But they got so close against EC Defiance. Oh man, we thought they were about to have it too, and then it just went from bad to worse for them.
Yeah, we were watching that match go along, and I think, what was it? Literally, what was it? Either like Game 4 or something like that, Los Verdes ended up getting the opening goal out of it all. And we thought, okay, maybe there was a chance here within this match they can catch EC Defiance off guard. They started to look like they were a little bit in sync, but that team still kind of looks like they're 3 individual players driving around. They still have not gotten that elusive game win in a series yet. I would argue that this is probably one of their better times to do so, but I think if they had a matchup against maybe FSD Azul, this would have been better suited for them, as EC Eternal honestly have picked up a scout in the off season in one of their own, and then brought in Celtic Shack to come in. So they're going up against a team that arguably is on the same pace and skill level as Defiance. And if we know anything about playing Defiance, if you're going to be playing a team of equal caliber, that's just going to be just that much tougher for Los Verdes to even get that game win in a series.
And that's what is kind of unfortunate for Los Verdes, because they have been getting better. You know, like they haven't been able to field their strongest possible lineup. They've been missing Mace for a very, very long time. And they didn't have Sky around this week to face off against EC Defiance. However, their other players are starting to get better, become more influential. Unfortunately for them, everyone else is also getting better. So they're stuck in a weird dilemma where they cannot keep up with the rest, despite getting better. So for them, their only hope of getting at least a game win is if they get their strongest possible trio together. And Devin, I'm going to ask you what you think Los Verdes' strongest possible trio is. For me, it's going to be Trigo, Mace, and Sky. I think that's the strongest possible trio. Shout out to Justin, though. He has been stepping up and getting better and better. But for me, that is the strongest possible trio. What do you think?
So I actually, like, on paper, I really do agree with your front three whenever it comes to LV. Because, I mean, again, we still haven't seen that trio. I've been wanting to see that trio. It seems like they're like close to being all available at the same time, but they just can't quite find the timing to work out. I would love to see a switch of Justin and Mason in this situation. Just because for the fact that I remember watching a bunch of the LV games this past season, in season 10. Whenever Sky was on the field, they were honestly putting in a lot more work than I expected them to for Los Verdes, especially on the defensive end. That's where Mace tends to be, probably the best defender, or one of the best defenders, getting a whole bunch of saves in the season last time around. But whenever it comes to, can you carry that defense and then generate some offense, that's where I need Los Verdes to break out, and I expect a player like Sky to help, and I'd want two players like Triga and Justin to facilitate the offense that comes after Sky getting the clear. That's the only difference that I have between it. But honestly, even if you wanted to keep Mace back there for those purposes, anything to draw Los Verdes out of being a 3-stack in net that all jump for the same ball would be a drastic improvement.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. Absolutely. And at least, with Justin coming in, they have a fourth who they could switch things around with and, make themselves a bit more unpredictable to, confuse the opposition. Unfortunately for them, they're just stuck in this position for now. Everyone else, though, is looking pretty good, and it's really tough to call who will be in the grand final, Debit, because as far as I'm aware, it's not really that straightforward to pick your two finalists. I mean, EC Defiance can win it all. EM Dallas Burn have been spectacular. They can win it all. Wonderwall Blue have played very well against EC Defiance in their first ever SGL match together. So they could go all the way, and you can never rule out Steel Army as well. Heck, as you already brought up EC Eternal being arguably as good as EC Defiance, although I wouldn't say the same, but still, I think that goes to show how much better the championship is getting. Who do you think could go all the way at this stage?
I mean, one could argue that a loser's run would make a team determined to go back and run it against the upper finalists. However, it's tough to argue whenever you're looking at results. A team like EM Dallas Burn, who have come into the championship after looking at some, average ranks across, going to 7 against Steel Army, taking the win, and Steel Army on paper are, I guess, the number 1 or number 2 team. You could argue Defiance get in there. Eternal has a chance to pop up to there. Wonderwall definitely does, but at least on paper, Steel Army was the top of this championship bracket. And EM Dallas Burn, they looked really good at times in forcing Steel Army to make some awkward touches and just sort of play a little hesitant from time to time. I think EM Dallas Burn have the opportunity to take this all. I still think it's their bracket to lose. However, don't call me shocked if EC Defiance somehow pull out a result against the Burn, especially after watching what Bisbo has done these past couple weeks.
And I think what you just brought up highlights how difficult it is, because EC Defiance have the togetherness factor. They've been playing together for a long time. I mean, outside of Bisbo, that team has been together since season 7. So these guys have familiarity down to a T. And Bisbo has been playing with and against these guys as well outside of SGL for a while. So they all have that familiarity that EM Dallas Burn may not have. What EM Dallas Burn have is, I think, some experience in the Premier. Like half of the players have come from the Premier, looking a bit outmatched there, but more at home in the championship. Plus, they also have players who played for a while in the championship who've been getting better and better and better. So it really is tough to call. And even when you look at the lower bracket, it's just so difficult to call between the three sides there. I just hate to say it like that because Los Verdes, man. I think we all know they're going to lose against EC Eternal. We just wonder if they could get a game win. But when it comes to EC Eternal, Steel Army, and Wonderwall Blue, you really can't tell which of these sides are even going to make it to the lower final. I mean, dang, it really is that tough to call. It really is. And I guess this can lead us into the predictions for these matches. I think let's start with the easy one for me personally. But before I start with predictions, do you have anything else you want to say about how close the championship has gone this season?
Honestly, I think I've said this before whenever it comes to the championship bracket, like this past season, because, the Rebellion that Steel Army played in round 2, whatever matchup you were on the other side of the bracket, you just had to make every match count as much as possible until you got into the lower bracket. If you can somehow get your way to winner side of grand finals, you're just sitting pretty right now. That's all you got to worry about. Nothing else too crazy. Just make every winner's match count even more like on paper than it has to be. So all I gotta say is EC Defiance, you gotta bring it. I would not want to face that lower bracket gauntlet.
Oh, absolutely. Big time. Now, predictions, because we got to move on to the Premier as well, speaking of the Rebellion. We've seen a bunch of Game 7s overall. The 7-game thriller between EM Dallas Burn and Steel Army just makes it very tough to call a lot of these matches. So I'm going to start with Los Verdes versus EC Eternal. Unfortunately, unless they have the strongest lineup out there, I honestly see that finishing 4-0 again to EC Eternal. So, sorry, Los Verdes. Got to have your strongest possible lineup. Even then, you have your work cut out for you against that EC Eternal side. We've been playing together for a while as well compared to you guys. So, yeah, it's going to be EC Eternal 4-0. Steel Army versus Wonderwall Blue. I can see that going to 7 games because I think Wonderwall Blue has a bit more to offer than what a lot of people have seen already. And I think that'll be 4-3 to Steel Army. Whereas for the upper final, I think I could see EC Defiance bringing a bit of a surprise and going all the way to the grand final. Again, taking it to 7 games. Because both these teams have that never say die attitude that helps them go very far. I could easily see 2 Game 7 thrillers in the championship this week.
You know what? I can agree a lot in those fronts, especially with EC Eternal taking down Los Verdes in a sweep. I agree with that. Wonderwall Blue, I have my thoughts on that team, but I know EC Defiance definitely had to pull out everything to get that reverse sweep, so I think that credit goes more onto them. I'm gonna have Steel Army in 6 on that one, but honestly, it's still predicting myself to take the win on that one. EC Defiance, EM Dallas Burn, it's just tough for me to pick against EM Dallas Burn. Whenever you got Indestructible and Skyline together, I know they kind of went with different lineups whenever they played against the Steel Army, but if you got those two and then you throw any combo of the Ponzi back in there, honestly, it's tough to pick against a squad like that. I think it's just gonna be a little bit too unpredictable for EC Defiance to deal with. But I do think that it's gonna be at least a 6 or a 7 game set. I'll take 6 for now, though.
I mean, in all honesty, the difference between 6 games and 7 games is literally 1 game, and that 1 game can finish in the craziest of ways. Something very unpredictable, a mistake that no one sees coming, an insane individual moment. You know, that's how close the championship has gone. And to think of how it looked before, you know, where you had 2 or 3 tiers. Now you have essentially 1 to 2 tiers. it's just incredible to see how much better everyone's gone. So props to everyone in the championship, for getting better and better as they've spent more time in SGL. So congrats to all you guys for sure.
Yeah, for real. We have to keep stepping it up every time just to stay on top of everything.
Speaking of stepping it up, Debit, the premiere has been an absolute gauntlet. I mean, it kind of feels like a slaughterhouse with how ruthless all these games have been. I think this has been the sweatiest SGL has been ever. And it's all credit to all these guys with not only getting better over time, but also great recruitment overall. And that's why we have 2 7-game thrillers here between KC Colin and the Rebellion, which for me is match of the season, as well as Wonderwall Black versus the Cinco Doce. That was incredible to watch as well. And really, that goes to show you how insane the Premier can get when everyone is on their game and when all the best players are playing. And you know what? We talked about the Rebellion destroying the championship in the Premier. Honestly, for them to finish 7th is kind of unfair, because I would have loved to have seen them gone further than this just to see more of them. But at the end of the day, that's the Premier. It's incredibly ruthless.
Yeah, when we talk about things being hyper competitive in here, we're looking at 2 gauntlets. One that looks like a slaughter on one side, and one that looks like both sides stabbing each other with swords until one falls over in the end. And luckily for La Cinco Doce, they happen to be on the better end of this twice in a row with taking down Accent Army and Wonderwall Black. And even just to circle back to the Rebellion, you make the good point about them dominating the championship and coming here. So I think this is a fair result for them given the teams they've played. But also, when you go up against Chrome and KC Cauldron and you're still getting these kind of results, I don't think that's a bad season, even if you're going 0-2. Because the step up in quality that you go up against, and also while bringing in somebody else to help, I don't think that should be counted as a negative toward you. I think that should only just be seen as like a warm-up for something that can be done in a full season. So we're only just seeing the Rebellion get warmed up now. Even speaking of just teams getting warmed up, Wonderwall Black, a team that we may have even considered to join forces with Wonderwall Blue before they split into 2. They they went to Game 7 with one of the best teams on paper, and they didn't even have Palace to go up against. And in their first matchup, they go 7, and they go to the lower bracket against KC. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's going to be a tough matchup, but the type of quality that we're speaking to right now, and then you guys see Chrome go up against El Matador, who look revitalized. Yeah, let's pass it off to that series. The fact that we're still waiting for this series to go down after this, we're basically just building a hype train for this series to be played right now.
I mean, we could spend the next 20 or so minutes just talking about Frontera Chrome versus El Matador, because they've had quite a bit of history against each other in season 10 already. I mean, there have been so many moments that these two teams have had, so many back and forth moments, just big results for both teams. And I think that goes to show you that there's a bit of a rivalry developing between these two sides for sure. And I cannot wait for that matchup tonight, Devin. I think we're going to see an absolute slobber knocker there, but I want to hold off on that because I want to talk about these other matches. Your thoughts before we move on?
Thoughts on the other matches?
No, thoughts on Chrome versus El Matador. We'll save that for later, but anything you want to say?
Let's save it for later.
Okay. KC Cauldron versus the Rebellion. I mean, KC Cauldron had their strongest trio out there in Serrano, Fatality, and Smitty. And they were facing off against a Rebellion side that kept rotating non-stop. It was only in game 6 and 7 where the Rebellion decided to keep the strongest lineups. The strongest trios. But before then, there's rotations galore. And the Rebellion could keep up with that. I mean, it was insane seeing just random trios come together. I mean, you're talking about Triple C, Polar, and Fnatic. You're talking about Triple C, Polar, and Shorts, the OG trio, win game 1 in convincing fashion against freaking Smitty, Fatality, and Serrano.
Yeah.
I mean, this Rebellion side just keeps bringing surprises, and it just makes me regret putting them in the championship last season, because in all honesty, they're a perfect fit for the Premier, especially with Fnatic in their lineup.
Absolutely. I mean, can't even say enough about Fnatic. That team was already deadly enough to play against. You had to fight for every goal that you got against them in the championship last season. I think the closest set we got was 5 in the league, and it was either 5 or 6 in, I think, the cup too. So the 5-game set, yeah, at least brought it to there, but whoever got the best of 7, the Rebellion just locked in. And with adding Fnatic to this, I mean, they're just quicker, faster than most other teams in the championship, and they now have a very capable 4 to 5 players that can go up against any team in the league now. It's honestly so impressive to see. I'm glad we shifted them back up, because this was the perfect proving ground.
Yep, absolutely. And yeah, it's a shame to see them end their season, but you're right. I think all in all, they had good results. They got to see a bunch of different combinations. They got to see what worked and what didn't. They got to see the best and worst of everyone. Fnatic got some game time to get used to his teammates as well. And in all honesty, it would be incredibly scary to see Shorts, Polar, Fnatic play together.
Oh my gosh.
They could be a potential dark horse.
Dude, it almost makes me wish to a degree that, I mean, I know this is not feasible in any means whatsoever, but doing a round robin where you could just see every team play off against each other, just go week to week. Oh man, that would have been so fun to see the Rebellion pull out all the lineups against every team. Right?
It would have been perfect in that sense, but we just don't have that much time to get these matchups going in season 10.5. You know, we had to keep it short. And speaking of keeping it short, I think we covered that enough. Props to Casey Coleman, by the way. They brought their best trio out. They made the difference. Serrano is always the savior for Casey Coleman, especially when they're at their toughest moments. You know, they have to have him on the field in order for them to win this whole thing. And I think with Serrano playing, I can see Casey Coleman going all the way.
With this lineup, I'd agree, because we saw this is 2 completely different KC squads week to week. Completely different squads. What was it? Yef, Bunch, and Thoringold the week prior against El Matador, and then now it's Serrano, Fatality, and Smitty. Yeah, completely different lineups week to week. It literally could be a crapshoot as to who we get going up against Wonderwall Black this upcoming matchup.
And speaking of Wonderwall Black, I mean, they don't have as big a squad anymore. You know, they have 4 players, but the trios that they pull out are all very, very good. I mean, we've seen Vigil, Turnt, and who's the other one? Not Trash Loon.
Quack.
I hate myself for this. I should know. Quack.
Did that not come through?
No, I couldn't hear you. You sounded way too quiet.
Damn it.
Yeah, Quack, Vigil, and Turn are an insane trio, and they pushed a La Cinco Doce side of Kaysar, Rudsau, and Devin all the way to 7. Kaysar having played all 7 games. Kaysar.
Yep.
How do they... These guys are playing their first match ever, and they take that trio to 7. That's batshit insane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Wonderwall Black also won game 1 as well. 3-2. And not every game was, a blowout. La Cinco Doce recovered in game 2. They're like, oh shoot, yeah, time to lock in. That was just a warm-up game. We'll be fine. We'll go from there. Proceed to win the next 3. All not as convincing as game 2. But this Wonderball team, they're a story of no quit, because to go 2 back-to-back games and to take it into game 7 is no small feat against a team of that caliber.
I mean, I just have no words. I mean, that's the beauty of SGL, right? Like, you bring people together who may not be as good on paper as the opposition, and they can just play unlike anyone else and take it all the way. Now, I know I say that, but Wonderwall Black is consisting of players who have played in similar leagues like MLE and RSC. So they have that kind of experience. So they have a better understanding of, playing these kind of games versus people who'd solo queue more often than not, right? So, credit to them for sure. But it's not like it came out of nothing. And I also don't want to discredit La Cinco Doce because Devin's been in the league for a while. Runsao plays competitively in other, competitions, and so does Gaser. I mean, Gaser has played in school competitions, so it's not like we're facing a solo queue team right here, right? And they still pushed them all the way. It's just, damn, the premiere is full of surprises.
Absolutely. And I hope the surprises keep coming because, with the matchups that we're looking at, I mean, Wonderwall Black, Casey Cauldron, you should just assume, maybe not assume, but I'm highly inclined to suggest that each series should go the distance from here on out.
Yeah.
Given what I've seen from everybody so far. And not only that, but the loser of 5 has to go down and play Axon Army, who may rotate that squad out, but I'd still expect to see 7.
Oh, yeah. No, I think with Axon Army, I know they talked about wanting to rotate more and give everyone playing time and not take this as seriously, but I'm going to say this right now. When they play, they lock it. Like, not lock it as an ultra hyper-focused, super serious kind of thing, but they give their best. They don't freaking fool around, right? So if either Crow or El Matador go down there, they're going to have a tough matchup, and especially for El Matador, because they have not matched up well against Timber's Army in past seasons, so I struggle to see them matching up well against Axon Army here this season as well. Frontera, that's a different story. I mean, they've had insane back and forth affairs against Timber's Army, just as they did with El Matador, so it can go either way there.
Yeah, and also I'd like to point out, even whenever it comes to most teams in this league, even if they are totally okay with the outcome and maybe okay with more rotating, whenever it comes down to it, I'm pretty sure every team in this league would opt not to lose and end up throwing out their strongest trio no matter what. You've seen it with teams like the Rebellion, Steel Army, EM, La Cinco Doce. It doesn't matter who. Top teams will always resort to what they got to push them through. So,
yeah,
Axon Army will always make this a competition no matter what.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. We saw that with the Rebellion. When the going gets tough, they'll go to their best team. They don't care.
Exactly. These teams will want to win more, and I can't blame them.
Oh, yeah. And you know what? I can see that same thing happening with Wonderwall Black and Casey Cauldron. I think both teams will be up for it. That is going to be a bloodbath. Oh, Lord. Devitt, I'm lost for words. I don't know how it's going to go.
I better have internet in Georgia. I gotta watch that series
no,
whenever it comes down to it.
You absolutely have to. Absolutely. Have they had it scheduled? Let's see. No.
I think they're looking later in the week, if anything. Though.
Maybe next Monday. Yikes.
Yeah.
Here we go again. Well done, Premier. You guys keep... listen, I say this, but the champ started in week 1. Now we're having the Premier go 2 in a row with this. Come on, guys. Don't let your fellow teams down. Poor La Cinco Doce are still waiting for their opponent, and they've yet to, even think of scheduling their matchup. Same with Axon Army. Like, it's bad for those teams. They have one less day to play now, right? So it's just unfair.
Yeah, I know for us, we love playing, or Monday's usually an available day to play. And yeah, with Monday being Memorial Day upcoming, that could pose a little bit of an issue. Depending on who may be traveling or just staying out late for parties.
All right, so we are about to approach kickoff for Frontera Chrome versus El Matador. Devitt, I think we only have a few minutes to quickly wrap up the remainder of stuff. So how about we go jump into the top 5s real quick?
Yeah, let's do that. Because with this new season, we don't have a ton of time to go over our usual topics that we do during a full season. So we'll give you the top 5s. These are as of week 1 because unfortunately, due to not scheduling on time, we do not have all of week 2's results in. So we wanted to get this at least displayed to you. Some of you have probably seen this already in SGL discussion, but a lot of the usual suspects can be found here, and depending on how many games you've played so far, that'll likely determine who's going to end up being on the better end of the total points, goals, assists, saves, and whatnot. But that's why we always have per game stats as well. And goodness, sorry, I literally just looked at it. Dr. Aquatic with 4 saves a game, and that's not gonna go any. No, wait, I know it's gonna go further at one point, but the fact that it's at 4 saves a game already.
I'm gonna check Dr. Aquatic's saves per game stats right now because I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Okay, 1 sec. It did go down, but not by much. Not by much. Do you want to guess the amount, Debit?
Please tell me he's at 3.25.
3.63. That's where he's ended the season. 3.63 saves per game. 29 saves over 8 games.
In 8 games. Okay, yeah, guys, I don't know if that'll be broken, but the rest of the stuff, I know this is going to come down, maybe sometimes up throughout the time, or throughout the weeks, but we wanted to give you this update for you, just so you guys can take a look at it before we get all things updated for week 2. But, you know, we are kind of approaching that time of FSD Chrome versus El Matador, so I think it's about time we probably wrap this one up, get the official closing done, and then we can transition you over to that matchup. Maz, any final thoughts as far as week 1, week 2, before we get this last matchup for week 2 started?
I was kind of worried that teams wouldn't take the season seriously and just kind of fool around or not really play their games out, but I've been impressed by how the community's responded by this, and I think they're really happy that even in the short season they're just willing to go all the way, and we're seeing awesome Rocket League gameplay. We're seeing people come in and have a good time with the community. I mean, soccer chat in the Discord server was popping off with people talking about Arsenal versus Burnley, and I think that just goes to show you, like, I think SGL's doing something good if people are coming in and being active and involved, you know, even in a short season like this.
Yeah, absolutely. We just want to come talk soccer with all y'all. No matter what the circumstance is, whether it be talking about rules, bad calls, quoting people directly without giving credit, anything that goes on in the soccer world, stuff we gotta talk about, whether it be our own club or not. Always happy to talk about it all. I'm gonna echo the same sentiment. I'm happy to see everybody responding well to this season. I hope we can get matches scheduled just a slight bit earlier. I know we are heading into the summer time season, so people are going to be wanting outside more. Maybe have a couple drinks out on the patios and whatnot. Maybe get some grilling done outside as well. Enjoy some pool time. But you guys have been awesome so far. Keep up the great work in scheduling those matches and giving us some fire content through season 10.5. And so for this episode, number 40, of the SGL podcast, the Purge began, and it will keep on going. For this episode, we're going to call it Peace Out.
And before I head out, chat, I know you guys have been active and buzzing. Thank you all for joining us and spending time with us in the podcast before we kick off the next match. Sorry, we couldn't really go over the messages. We just want to finish up this podcast to make sure we don't go late into kicking off Frontera Crow versus El Matador. But for now, I'm also going to be heading out. Debit will too. We will be bringing in 2 commentators to commentate soon after this break. So stick around, chat. In 5 minutes, we will be back for Frontera Chrome versus El Matador. Debit, I'm glad I joined you for tonight. Can't wait to see how this week goes. Take care.
Agreed.
Peace.